Hello and welcome to Coffee Chat with me, Jody, the Confidence Corner edition. I thought I'd start our very first new Coffee Chat edition with my own story. Back to where that moment where I had really low self-confidence and the moment that changed my life and my confidence forever. So I thought I'd start with there. So grab your coffee or tea and come build your confidence with me. So where did it all begin? It was January 2008. I believe it was at the end of January 2008. And I just got dumped by my boyfriend. I was devastated. I didn't eat for like a month. I was just like this really low point in my life. Yet at the same time, a really good one, but I'll get more to that in a minute. It was my low point. Now we were only together for a year. And you might be thinking, a year's not a long time. But to me, that relationship ending wasn't just a relationship ending. I spent a lot of my teens and my 20s going after guys, like going after not even just guys, but this idea of having a relationship, that if I was in a relationship, if somebody chose me, that meant I was worthy enough, that I was lovable, that somebody actually loved me. And then I could feel like I was loved, like that I could love myself. Then like I was relying on other people's feelings for me to let me be okay with liking or loving myself. That time I didn't really even like myself. And so being alone again and be like, him dumping me made me like, well, why am I not good enough? And it really brought up everything in it. And it was my first serious boyfriend, unless you count like grade 7 and 8 when it was like all fun and games, he'd be my boyfriend. Anyways, so this was a really low point for me because it wasn't just relationship. Like I said, it was me thinking I wasn't good enough again. And you want to know, funny thing about this is I wasn't even really truly me around him. Like I'm sure at the beginning I kind of was, but I got lost in his world so easily. And, we were doing things he wanted to do all the time. It's not that he was mean or that he like had to have it his way. I honestly just followed him like a loyal puppy dog because I didn't know enough of who I was to say, hey, like, let's do this or let's do that. Like I took on, watching WWE and hockey, like things that I personally am not a fan of. Like, no, if you watch that, that's totally cool, but it was just not my thing. But I was immersing myself in this world that was not mine. I just kept going deeper and deeper into it just because I don't know. I just didn't know who I was. So I was like taking on somebody else's life. And it was just, this interesting relationship. But in the time that I was in there, I didn't know. And in all honesty, looking back now, I was eventually kind of getting angry all the time. And I'm looking back and it's like the reason I was losing my voice every day, every week that I was, just kind of going with the flow of a relationship and more like losing me more and more. I was getting angrier and angrier because my insides, my inner being was trying to still talk, but it was coming out in anger. And it's like, wow, such some moments, but you don't see it when you're in it. You don't see it when you're in the middle. I had no idea. What I was going through. So like I said, I was devastated. I was lost. I really felt lost there. From going from lost to like the best thing in my life, honestly. Him breaking up with me was the most amazing thing he could have ever done for both of us. It wasn't a healthy relationship. It wasn't built on love. It was built on, and maybe it was, it was lovely. I'm not regretting that year. However, what came after was the best thing that could ever have happened to me and us. Because let's face it, I was probably really miserable to be around. Also, I'd like to add in the story here that if you're in a relationship, it doesn't mean like, and you're finding confidence, doesn't mean you have to end one to find it. This is just how my journey began and my fun and self-love adventure began. So don't think, I don't want anybody throwing away a beautiful relationship with somebody else to find themselves. This is just how I did it. I needed a slap across the face. So maybe if you're looking for one, maybe this video is it. I just don't do anything drastic in the moment. You know, get centered and focus within. Anyways, that's a side note because I'm not saying, hey, end something to start something. This is just my own beginning of a story. So after throwing myself into like the biggest pity party of my life, you know, not eating for a month and just, I was a miserable person. Anyways, and I'm not even sure where it's actually, I know where it started. It was, you know, I had too much to drink and I was living with my grandma at the time. And then like having my grandma have to take care of me while I was really drunk. Well, she had company over, was probably my lowest point. And that's where I'm like, ooh, something needs to change. So it's always in our lowest points where we're like, yeah, like we need to do something here. So I began spending time with myself. Like obviously that month before I was spending time with myself too, but I was drowning it in probably food. Actually, no, I wasn't eating. So I was drowning in probably movies and TV, just kind of numbing myself or just keeping myself busy too with work and things like that. So sometimes staying busy has a way of tricking us so we don't spend some time with ourselves, like one-on-one quality time. You know, there's time that we can spend with like even family where it's not really quality time, it's just time together. And then there's quality time, and that's same with us, with ourselves, is spending time, quality time with ourselves. So anyways, I began slowly, and I mean slowly, spending time with myself, figuring out what I really wanted. I started slow. Anyway, so I was into, like, I've always been this knowing of self-improvement, you know, working on the self and things, on myself and things like that. So I just really dove headfirst into it and just read and things. I was really trying to meditate. The first time I tried meditating, like I tried and it was like trying to break through a brick wall. I was hard on myself and it was just a really messy situation. So I didn't do so well at the beginning. And then I took into a yoga class that was offered with my gym, and I really started loving that. And that's where meditation really just was flowing really well in my life at that point, was because I immersed, like, it was just really well, it was really well woven in together. And I really loved the end of the class where we just lay in shavasana and meditate. So it was a really beautiful thing. And that's really where my meditation world really opened up for me. But like I said, it was a rocky start. And the thing is, we have to start somewhere. It might not look beautiful. I can tell you, it's probably not looking beautiful. It's gonna look messy and it might hurt and it might just be scary. Starting is like the best thing you can ever do. I believe it's Robin Sharma that says, you know, new beginnings are messy or are hard in the beginning, messy in the middle, and beautiful at the end. And I use this a lot during our moving process. It was really hard to make that decision to move across and leave my family in Ontario. And then it was super messy in the middle. And I'm not going to lie, it would hurt a lot too, trying to get it all done and moving. And anyways, all that fun jazz. And it was beautiful in the end. Same with that point where my paths crossed, where I could have kept beating myself up, having super low self-esteem, and that I had my whole life really. But that moment in my life pivoted, and instead of just continuing moping or finding another guy that would fill that hole that I had in my heart, I chose me. And it was the best thing I ever did in my life, was to choose me. Now, again, it started slow, like the reading. It also started slow with me liking myself and then loving myself. I still to this day have moments where, I beat myself up, or I'm like, I should have done this or whatever. But I have these tools now. And my pity parties, if I even have one now, aren't a month long. They might be like an hour where I'm like, ooh, or like, I'm like, ooh, I'm not feeling good. Like, let's hop on the mat, on the yoga mat or on my meditation pillow or journaling. I had a really crazy week a while back and I was downright exhausted. And I actually had plans with my family to go out to a dinner. And I was like, the moment, like we were about like 10 minutes before we left, my husband looked at me like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm exhausted. Like, so I took that time to sit down. And I normally, my go-to is actually to clean the kitchen or clean something up because there's always something to be cleaned, right? Like always. So one, I owned it. I was like, yeah, I'm not feeling good. And then two, I said, like, eventually it was like, okay, I'll stay home. I didn't want to, I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to let my children down or my husband down. But then after talking it over my husband, I'm like, I need time to myself. And then also, instead of cleaning the kitchen, I grab my journal. So sometimes we would create these triggers and all of a sudden, like, or we have like these, actually even better, these knee-jerk reactions where it's like, oh, I have some free time, I'm going to do XYZ, like something around the house or something, some project or something for somebody else, not ourselves, or what we truly needed. And what I needed was to get my thoughts out, what I'm feeling. And this is actually where I was like, I want to get back into sharing my journey, sharing my experience. And I was really sitting with things. And one of my biggest things was I had no confidence growing up, very, very little confidence. And, to find it, I was looking for it through having some form of boyfriend, or at least somebody crushing on me, or like showing some form of interest in me. And it was not healthy. And then I finally have confidence. And I want to be completely honest with you. Like I said, I don't always have it. However, I am more aware of when I'm falling into old habits or when I'm like emptying my cup and not filling it. So life is a journey. And I've always called my self-love journey a journey. Like I called it a journey, but I'm coming to call it an adventure because it really is. There's no end. We're just adventuring, right? Adventuring through life, learning things, growing as we go. So in making myself a priority in my life, I have now created this beautiful life beyond my wildest dreams. I never, ever imagined that maybe I did imagine, but I didn't ever believe that I could live near the ocean, look at the mountains every day, and like just be in this beautiful place that I'm in, and like the life I'm living with two beautiful children and a loving, caring husband that can look at me and go, something's wrong, like what's going on? So it's very beautiful, but it started small. It started with a simple step, and it started, 13 years ago, I believe, if I did the math right, maybe 12. Um, anyways, so it started a long time ago, and it's just blossomed into this beautiful, loving relationship I now have with myself. Is it perfect? No, far from it. Little by little, though, I get to know myself more and more, and I've really just loved the life I'm living. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think your life could be like if you had more confidence? Imagine, just sit there and just like, what would you do if you had more confidence? I'd love to hear from you. So comment below, share, and let me know what it is that you would love to have in your life and what would be possible if you had more confidence. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing some coffee or tea with me. And I look forward to talking to you again next week or throughout the comments throughout the week. I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye for now.